The boxing world is still in shock. Nobody saw this coming. When Crawford stepped into that Vegas ring, experts predicted disaster. They said he was too small, too old, too risky. But what happened next left everyone speechless.
Explain how you're feeling right now compared to how you were feeling back then when you won that fight.
I feel the same, because it wasn't a sense of me shocking the world. It was a sense of me doing what I said I was going to do, so it might have been a shock to a lot of people, around, but it wasn't a shock to me, so I'm cool.
I know I'm smaller than Canelo. I know I'm smaller than these guys.
But Canelo's pretty short too. Canelo's
Yeah,
your height too.
we're the same height. We're the same height.
Exactly, for a 68-pounder. But he is a freaking boulder. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a thick kid.
A lot of people like, man, you can't beat him. Then I'm looking at him and I'm watching him. I'm like, man, I can beat this dude. Always been undersized.
Crawford just proved every doubter wrong. He didn't just beat Canelo, he embarrassed him. No more excuses about weight classes or size advantages. Crawford walked into Vegas like a man on a mission, ready to destroy every critic who said it couldn't be done. This wasn't just about winning, this was about making history.
Shocked him tremendously, given the fact that his coach said that, he felt like I couldn't hurt Canelo with anything and Canelo can hurt me with everything. So I think, they put that in his head. And then when he got in there, he was like, whoa, they lied to me. This dude can punch.
Stephen A. Smith has watched Crawford for years, waiting for this moment, and Saturday night, he finally got his answer. This wasn't just another fight. This was Crawford's moment to prove he belongs at the top. Every promise, every bold claim Crawford made over the years came true under those bright lights.
Told me he had been telling me for the last 2 years. He had one time I was at a UFC event, Molly and Cam, at the Sphere, and he was down there ringside and had somebody summon me down ringside just to come and talk to him and emphasize how badly he wanted the Canelo fight. And I was worried about him moving up, 3 weight classes, because he was 147 at the fight. It was before he fought Madrimov. And to watch him do what he did Saturday night against Canelo, showing that he was the superior boxer, that he could take a punch, that he could certainly give it, that he was strong. I can't say enough about him. As far as I'm concerned, pound for pound, Terence Crawford is the best on the planet as we speak right now. He's the man.
But here's what nobody expected. Crawford didn't just survive the weight jump, he dominated it. Against boxing's biggest star, he showed perfect timing, deadly accuracy, and surprising power. Every punch looked effortless, like he'd been preparing for this exact fight his entire career. When the moment came, Crawford seized it without hesitation. Stephen A. painted the picture perfectly, but his focus quickly shifted to the man who stole the show.
To those out there. And Sean, my producer, if you could do me a favor, fix these lines so I can make sure I see everybody in this completion, okay? Because it's a little bit gobbled up on the screen. Let me tell y'all something about Terence Crawford. This is the year 2025. He is the best boxer on the planet Earth. Terence Crawford is pound for pound the #1 fighter on the planet Earth. It's secured with this win. Now, that doesn't mean that if he stayed at the super middleweight division that he'd end up beating somebody like the Mexican monster, David Benavidez. We ain't losing our damn minds here. It's not an accident that Canelo hasn't fought that man as of yet, because this man is something special, and he's a natural super middleweight that's having to fight at light heavyweight because he can't get anybody at the super middleweight or the middleweight division to fight him. But I'm talking about in terms of your skill set, what you bring to the table, and moving up essentially 3 weight divisions.
The crowd, the pressure, the spectacle, none of it bothered Crawford. Everyone expected him to crack under the pressure. Instead, he delivered a masterclass. Stephen A. said it best. This wasn't just an upset. This was one of Vegas's greatest performances ever. Canelo's night became Crawford's coronation. By the later rounds, Stephen A. could see the shift happening. Crawford wasn't just hanging on, he was pulling away. Round after round, Crawford outclassed the man who ruled 168 pounds for years. His jab was perfect, his distance control was flawless, and he took every big exchange. Canelo had never lost at this weight, but Crawford beat him in his first try. Stephen A. nailed it. The impossible became undeniable. The underdog didn't just win, he dominated. Then came the brutal truth, the numbers that nobody could argue with. Stephen A. broke them down, and they told the story of a master at work. When legendary trainer Abel Sanchez speaks, everyone listens, and his take on Crawford's performance? Mind-blowing.
He wasn't flawless, he was exceptional. What a great fight, man. All props to Terence and Bomac. You know what? They did what they needed to do to prepare for a guy that hasn't really fought anybody with that kind of style, one, and with that kind of IQ in the ring. He showed us last night that he's a Hall of Famer for sure. I'm so happy for him, really. I'm so happy for his team because I've been in that position before, and when you get to that point and you win those big fights, it's exhilarating because you know you did the work. So I'm really happy for him. He did great. I'm not even going to say that Canelo had a bad night because no matter what Canelo would have showed up, that Terence Crawford would have beat anybody in the ring that night. Night.
Sanchez didn't see any mistakes, just pure skill. He watched Crawford throw every punch with Hall of Fame precision. This wasn't about Canelo failing. This was Crawford exceeding every expectation on the biggest stage. When a trainer who's built champions uses language like that, you know you witnessed something special. But Sanchez wasn't done there.
Crawford fought a great fight last night, and Canelo was the best Canelo could be that last night. I would hate to think what kind of, and I don't think it's fair to think about when Golovkin fought him if Crawford would have fought him. Crawford fought a great fight last night and he won. And I thought the scores were a little tighter than they should have been. I thought Crawford had more rounds. But look, props to both guys.
Sanchez went deeper, explaining how Crawford wasn't just winning, he was controlling everything. Even when Canelo had his best moments, he couldn't touch Crawford. The scorecards didn't show how big the gap really was. This kind of breakdown cuts through all the hype and shows the truth. This was a defining moment in boxing. What shocked Shiraz the most? Crawford's physical dominance. He expected skill, not raw power and control.
You know what surprised me was him holding his feet and still dominating, being strong enough to exchange in the clinches and manhandling Canelo a bit and turning him around like it was nothing. Yeah, that surprised me a lot.
Crawford wasn't just boxing, he was bullying Canelo in close exchanges, turning him in clinches, and taking over at a weight where everyone said he'd be too small. This wasn't finesse, this was pure authority. Shiraz's amazement represented every fan watching in real time. Crawford looked unstoppable in every aspect of fighting. Duke McKenzie knows what world title greatness looks like, and even he was amazed by what Crawford achieved.
I think what you witnessed last night was just, you know what, there are really not enough superlatives, there are not enough words that you can say what Terence Crawford has just achieved in boxing. It's unheard of. You know what, another way I'd like to describe it is, I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion, but I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best.
For McKenzie, this wasn't just another champion's moment. This was history being carved in stone. As a former multi-division world champion himself, McKenzie had to admit Crawford reached a level few ever touch. This respect from someone who's walked the walk made Crawford's victory even more meaningful.
For me, there were red flags way before this fight, not way before the fight, you know, in the build-up to this fight. Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight, you know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable, and Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do.
Headshots, body shots, jabs. Crawford beat Canelo everywhere. He outpunched him, outthought him, and outclassed him completely. Body shots couldn't slow him down. Pressure couldn't break him. Crawford walked in confident and left no room for debate. Stephen A. made it clear. The numbers showed total domination wrapped in calm control. Crawford didn't just win, he proved every bit of confidence was justified.
Are you listening? That's all I care about. That's my definition of cheers. And then you have some of these fools out here, particularly folks from my community, excoriating me because, oh my Lord, you know, I was celebrating Charlie Kirk. No, I was not. Don't know the man, never watched what he said before his political assassination last week. I didn't know anything about what he had said. My point is, now that I do, although many people might find it offensive from different ethnic backgrounds, that's not my point when I was speaking what I said the other day. What I was saying was, he was murdered. Streamed live in front of all of our faces. And no matter what you think or what you feel about what he has said or what his ideology is or what his position may be, that ain't the damn time to be bringing that stuff up. When a man is murdered in front of his wife and children. That's all I was saying. And I don't take back what I said one iota. And I'll leave it at that. People will lie and misrepresent my positions all the time. That's why I have a radio show. That's why I'm on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 82. That's why I'm debuting on POTUS Radio this Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. on Sirius XM, Channel 124, POTUS Radio, which is a political channel because I'm going to have a weekly show on that. I don't give a damn about criticism.
Stephen A. put Crawford's name in boxing history, and the facts backed him up completely. Undefeated, undisputed. From 140 to 147 to 168 pounds, Crawford conquered every challenge thrown at him. Stephen A. didn't hold back. This is the world's best boxer. Pure greatness with no excuses, no asterisks. Crawford's legacy as the pound-for-pound king was sealed in that moment. This wasn't just settling arguments. This was opening history books and showing exactly why Terence Crawford belongs among the all-time greats. Boxing writer Dan Raphael, who's seen everything, admitted Crawford's performance shocked even him. Raphael highlighted how Crawford took over the later rounds, backing up the supposedly bigger man when it mattered most.
I thought he did a great job. I thought it was close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance, and what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. But he showed his greatness.
Dan Raphael hit the truth hard. This was earned greatness, not luck or hype. He went further, saying in Canelo's entire career, it's rare to see someone force him backward, control the pace.
I think it took him a little while to figure out that, you know what, he doesn't hit as hard as some people were saying, and that I can get in and out, and I'm going to be able to stalk him and walk him down a little bit. And he had Canelo extremely frustrated. And so I guess I was a little surprised he was able to do it, especially in those last couple of rounds. But he definitely was the guy that was going forward and back in. I mean, I've been watching Canelo for his entire career as a known fighter. This is my 24th Canelo Alvarez fight in person. I can't say that against anybody, including big punchers like Triple G and Kovalev and people like that saw him get forced back. That's not normal for a fight with Canelo Alvarez.
And just like that, Crawford versus Canelo is over. And what an ending for boxing fans worldwide.
And this is not a disrespect to Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good argument that he's the greatest Mexican of all time, even more than Chavez. That said, he is in decline. He's been in decline for the last few years. He hasn't been what we've seen him at his best since he beat Caleb Plant. You know, that Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Sanders time frame. And, you know, even though he's winning fights, you know, the knockouts haven't happened. He's gotten tired in the later part of the fights. And it's just common, it's the oldest saying in boxing, Father Time is undefeated. This is a man who has now 532 professional rounds. He may be younger in terms of his age at 35 compared to Terence Crawford at age 37. But Terence Crawford, you know, going into this fight at 245 rounds, now he's at, 257. He's got basically half the number of rounds that Canelo does. And Canelo has had a ton of those rounds have been grueling and grinding and punishing. Certainly a lot more of those hard rounds than Terence Crawford's had. So it just stands to reason Yeah, you get to be that age in boxing, you're going to start to slow down. Now, all that said, it wasn't like he got blown out. It's like he didn't compete. It was a close fight. I mean, around here, around there, he wins the fight. So, yes, is he in decline? 100%. Is he still very capable of beating, good quality fighters? Yes, but Terence Crawford is obviously a special, let's use the word that I hate, but I'll use it, generational kind of fighter.
Terence Crawford gave everyone a reason why many call him pound for pound the best. From preparation to execution, Crawford didn't just win, he dominated. And Canelo, as always, gave everything he had, showing why he's one of boxing's toughest competitors. But now the real debate starts. Did Crawford completely destroy Canelo? Or were there moments where Canelo pushed back? Has Crawford locked up his place as an all-time great? Will we see a rematch? And what would Canelo need to change to get revenge? Most importantly, who should Crawford fight next to keep making history? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see what the boxing community thinks about this legendary battle. If you want more breakdowns of the biggest fights and expert analysis, subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss the action.